Good evening, everybody. Long time no see. It's about like 3 months or so, but I'm really sorry, but like the time is really limited. So anyway, without further introductions, let's just start, okay? Our agenda today is 5 items, okay? First one, we are going to follow up what we have discussed on the 1st of August, mainly AMD trade and the dollar valuation. Go into the peace deal between Hamas and Israel and the main winners and losers of such deal. And we will go into the Egyptian market as an extension of that. We will go into Mamdani and Trump, because Trump basically they met each other yesterday, so that's worth mentioning, mainly because there could be money from such meeting, money to be made from such meeting, so why not? And lastly, we are going to go into the Russia and Ukraine peace talks. Now, the US proposition, or basically suggestion, in terms of a real deal to end that useless conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So let's just start. First item, AMD and dollar. According to the chart, AMD was about $166, and now it's $203. So it's about like 20% or 25% gain from the last call that we made. And actually, like the people who know me, like I was basically calling for a sell of AMD at 230 to 240, as we never know the top of the stock. So luckily the stock went down until 200, and me personally, I think it's sort of a buy. 200 to 190. I think that's a good point to enter AMD again. Regarding the dollar, as we were seeing on the chart on 1st of August, basically this chart is like you're just comparing the dollar, which is basically DXY. You're comparing the dollar's value with other currencies. So the indicator gives a reading of 100, which is basically 1.5% gain from our call. And I believe that the dollar is going to keep strengthen, and we see a much higher value for the dollar against the other currencies. Next, the peace deal between Palestine and Israel. So basically, just want to shed a lot on who are the winners and the losers. Basically, the winners are the basically stocks that have their businesses expanding in Palestine. Mainly in Egypt, there are the basic material stocks those are basically the main winners. Losers are the industrial complex stocks in US, because basically they sell weapon. And if you are basically investing in those stocks, I hope you lose in a way, shape or form, because basically you make your money out of wars. Okay. Then the Egyptian market scene. I believe that we are about to, like, the party in Egypt, the Egyptian market is about to finish. That's in my view. I take a conservative stance into the Egyptian market. And in terms of procedures, I maintain like 66% cash in my portfolio in the Egyptian stock market. Next we have Trump and Mamdani. They met each other at the White House yesterday. Okay, so basically Mamdani's agenda was basically affordability, free buses, and basically better quality of life for New Yorkers. Okay, let's just see if we can make money from that. They were talking about building new houses, okay, which actually is sort of a catalyst for the real estate sector in the US, particularly was like those stocks that have businesses in New York. So that would be a good trade to make money out of that, because basically they are going to build more homes, build more houses, build more buildings. So this is more revenue to those companies. Simple as that. Okay, next we have the peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. So I think yesterday or the day before yesterday. So basically we had the US suggested a deal that a true deal now for Ukraine and Russia to have that useless war to be ended, and Russia has sort of leaning towards the deal and sort of accepting the deal. However, Ukraine plays an interesting part here. She sort of says, we don't want that deal, yet we want to continue that war, and we actually may continue the war without the US help, which is kind of odd and weird. So hopefully Zelensky has his own senses on that. Well, as a result of that deal, let's just follow the money here. As a result of that deal, most probably the gold should have weakness. I don't want to issue like a sell on the stock on gold, but I believe that sort of gold may have some weakness, and unfortunately I see that the gold party that we had the last 2 or 3 months is about to finish, and maybe that deal is going to be the catalyst for that. Okay, so let's just recap what we were talking, what we have just had this video on: the US dollar view, AMD and AI sector view. There is sort of gold, like weakness in gold as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I see. The Egyptian market, and how I kind of have like a conservative view on it. And let's keep an eye on the VIX as well, because the VIX is high, and the VIX is high. There is more volatility in the market, so we need to keep an eye on that. Lastly, I have been hearing like a lot of talking about a bubble, okay, and what the bubble is, and blah blah blah. Okay, if you search for a bubble on Google or something, you'll see like hundreds of definitions and terminologies and stuff. Okay, pick anyone you want. Okay, but from what I see, I will give you from my point of view like a more practical definition of the bubble. Okay, so the bubble, as far as I'm concerned, or as I see it, is that lower credit creation in a country, or sort of a difference between investors' expectations of the corporation's performance and the actual performance of the corporations. Okay, let's have some examples. The latter happened in 2002, the internet bubble. Let's take the 2002 internet bubble. If you are going to dissect it, so basically you have that expectation from the investors that internet is the magic thing that is going to basically transform the humanity. Okay, and you have corporations, and the stocks are not delivering that thing. In other words, the revenues are not reflected on that such expectations. Yet the stocks and the market was making higher highs. Okay, so you got that differences between the expectations and the real performance, and then oops, really internet is not that thing at that time, and the bubble bursts and everyone is selling. Okay, that's the latter. The former, which is lower creation. We had that thing in 2022 when basically the government was giving credit like hell, okay, because of the COVID shutdown. So anyone needed credit, so basically anyone needed credit and anyone needed loans to fund their businesses. They were having that thing with a very, very, very low rate. As a result, you basically are motivating the demand. Okay, so you got an inflation of, as far as I remember, it was like 7 or 8% in November 2021, 7 or 8%. And then you got the Ukraine and Russia conflict, which actually motivated the oil prices to go higher, which motivated the inflation to go higher and higher. You end up have an inflation of, as far as I remember, it was like 9% or something. A problem of first world countries, inflation of 9%. That's a big deal for them. Anyway, you have that. At the time, central bank needed to basically interfere and raise the interest rate. Raising the interest rate means they are going to lower the credit in the economy, and the stock, as far as I'm concerned, at that time went maybe 15 to 20% down. So this is sort of my definition of the bubble. So this is sort of my practical definition of the bubble. Applying what I've just said now, the credit creation process is not going to go any lower now. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. In fact, it's gonna be increased, because maybe interest rates are going to go down in the US. This is the first one. The second one, which is actually the AI companies, actually they are making money. Actually they are delivering on the expectations from the investors. If you are seeing maybe 80% of the AI companies in US, they are delivering. They are basically putting their guidance and they are delivering on that guidance. So people are throwing bubbles on bubbles all over the world. I don't see it. Genuinely, I don't see it. Does that mean that sometimes I'm not going to be selling the market? I will definitely sell. But does it long term, if you're like a long-term investor in the US, does that means, okay, now I'm going to sell everything? I genuinely don't see that view as of now. The market is good, even there is volatility on it. Even if you missed selling at the top in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I believe that we are visiting those new highs and we are basically breaking them in the next couple of months. That's my review for today. Thank you for your time, and follow for more.